Hello, this is Todd Hubbs, agricultural economist at the University of Illinois. Today I'm talking about my June 3rd, 2019 weekly outlook. Soybeans facing more acres and weak demand. We've seen a substantial price rally in soybeans over the last couple of weeks as planting issues across the Corn Belt continue to materialize. It's a bit of a head scratcher when you think about if we're going to lose corn acres and the kind of switching we might see take place. An expectation of more soybean acres should probably be in place for the 2019 crop. And on top of that, as we're looking at how soybean use has evolved through the first part of 2019, we've seen slightly weaker crush, and we've seen soybean exports not up to the pace of the current USDA export projection. So today I'm going to talk about these two issues together and maybe think about, should we be marketing soybeans right now? Because this may be an opportunity that we won't see again as we move through the rest of the year. What you see in this graph is monthly soybean crush over the last two marketing years. And as you can see, as we entered the 2018-19 marketing year, we were crushing at a much higher rate than 2017-18. But as of February, that's weakened somewhat. We were well above crush pace for the first 8 months in total for this marketing year over last marketing year. But as we look from May through August, we basically, to hit USDA's 2.1 billion projection, need to crush the same amount we did last year. As you can see in April, that's my estimate of a little over 170 million bushels of crush that'll come out this afternoon. It may be a little bit lower because we've seen over the last couple of months a little bit of weakening in crush from USDA's estimates. That being said, we're basically on pace. We could see it come in a little bit under. Overall, though, you should think of it as a little bit of weakening crush demand as we continue to move into 2019. Right now, USDA's got exports for soybeans this marketing year set at 1.775 billion bushels. That's 16.6% behind last year, and as you know, and as you can see from this total commitments graph that I'm showing you now, that's China and our loss of that market. The introduction of possibly tariffs on Mexico as we move through 2019 isn't going to help this very much, since it's one of our major soybean exporters this marketing year, and hopefully we can work that out. Currently, we're really not quite on pace to hit USDA's projection. Through this morning's export inspection number, we're sitting at about 1.316 billion bushels exported. With about 13.3 weeks left, we need to export about 34 million bushels a week. Over the last 8 weeks, we've been doing about 20 million bushels a week. So unless we see a pickup in exports, which could happen like we saw last year, but it's looking unlikely, we're a little bit behind pace in exports. So we're seeing a little bit of weaker demand in crush and a little bit of weaker demand in exports in soybeans. And while all this is going on, we're probably seeing corn acreage getting removed from the 2019 crop, and the possibility of soybean acres moving into it. And I'm going to talk about that a bit in the next slide. So we're going to get another planting progress report today. What you're seeing in this graph is soybean acreage unplanted in the 18 major states for May 26th. And there's a lot of acreage unplanted, particularly in the eastern Corn Belt. I don't think you're going to see a major amount of planting in soybeans this week due to the weather we had last week. I know there's some estimates of upwards of 45%. I think that might be a little bit optimistic. But the situation we're looking at, and I know I hate to beat a dead horse here, but you can sort of think about what's going on right now as maybe a drought that's only being applied to corn and not soybeans. I think we could see substantial corn acres and a yield hit come out of this 2019 corn crop. But we still have 2 to 3 weeks before the prevent planting date for soybeans. And if the normal weather pattern that's currently being projected kicks in, I think we could see the soybean acres get planted in a timely manner, and we could see some switching into soybean acres. Now, I don't think this is going to be a one-for-one switch from corn to soybeans, but even if we added 3 to 4 million acres of soybeans, that's acres we don't need. Now, I think it's prudent to think about the production level for 2019. If we get more acres, there could be a yield hit in place, but I don't know if the yield hit's going to make up for the acreage jump that we may see this year. So right now, the USDA for 2019-20 has production at 4.15 billion bushels, And I think it would be prudent to assume production at that level or slightly higher when you're thinking about where soybeans may go in the next marketing year. So having said all this, it feels like the market's pricing in not a jump in soybean acres and a major yield hit. If that comes to pass, then these current prices make sense. But if they don't, I think there will be a divergence between corn and soybean prices as we move through June and into July, particularly after we get the June acreage report. And this opportunity to market old and new crop soybeans maybe shouldn't be missed. It's something to really take into consideration. Well, I'd like to thank you for your time. You can find my weekly outlook and daily analysis of issues related to Corn Belt farm economics at farm.daily.illinois.edu. I look forward to seeing you around the state of Illinois.